Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Fino Concepts. So those of you who are on social media like most of the time, especially on Instagram, this video is for you. In this video, we are going to create a profile for our Instagram page. So let's just get started. Welcome to Fino Concepts. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our application. For this tutorial, I'm using Photoshop CC, and I'll go ahead and create a new document. I'm going to leave my width as 2000 and my height as 2000. The resolution always 300 pixels per inch, and I'll just click on create. Now the reason why I'm using this square shape is because I would like to put this on my Instagram and on my WhatsApp DP and status and all of that. So having it in a square form is going to be a lot easier for me. Anyway, the first thing we are going to do is apply color. So right now I'm not sure of which color to use, but I feel like I should use a yellowish golden color. So let's just go to the adjustment panel right here. But before that, click on this third icon from the right. That's going to create a group for us. So I'll call this group, let's just call it background. Now once I have that, go into the adjustment panel, which is right here, and click on solid color. Now the reason why I use this is if at any point in time I feel like changing the color, you can see right now it's solid black. If I feel like changing the color, I can just double click on this and change it to probably red, and I'll be able to just do that in a couple of seconds or a couple of clicks. So I always like using a color fill for my background instead of relying on using the paint bucket tool to just create that. So I'll double click and I'll use the yellow. Like I said, I want a golden color. I think somewhere around here should be just fine. So that is E2AD0A, and I'll just click on OK. Alright, now I want to apply a gradient on top of this, but before that, make sure that your foreground color is set to black. If you don't have that, you can just click on this icon I have in here. Just go into the adjustment panel, which is right here, fourth icon or the icon in the middle, and click on gradients. So let's just say you didn't change this, then you have to go in here, the rectangle right next to the text gradient, and change it by double clicking here, select black, click on OK, double click in here and selecting black. They are basically the same thing, but I think if you just change it from here, it's a bit faster. So what I'm going to do is I'll change the style to radial, so radial for a circular one, and the scale I'll increase it to 1000, and I'll go ahead and hit reverse. So that's going to reverse it for me like so. So if I click on OK and I turn it off and on, you can see that we have a nice gradient on top. Now this is going to be my background. Awesome. Now before I also import my images, my image is just one, I'm also going to create another group. Let's call this image blob. I don't know, I'm not coming up with a solid name today. So yeah, now that I have that, let me just fit this to screen. I'll just be using the pen tool to be creating these irregular shapes. So for the pen tool, make sure that it is set to shape up here, select a fill color, and make sure that stroke is set to none. Now once I have that, I can just click one time from here. I can just click and drag like so, move over here, click and drag like so. Now you don't have to be perfect or precise with this because everything you're creating is not really I'm saying don't be precise, but I'm trying to be precise here. Now everything we are creating is just some weird shape is irregular, so any shape you create should be just fine. I think something like this should be okay, and I'll just trying to make it a bit uniform. You know what, let me bring this somewhere here and I'll make this look a bit like this, and once I'm done, I'll just hit enter on my keyboard. So I have this shape. Now the reason why we use a shape is because just like the color fill, I can just double click at any point in time and select whatever color I want. So this time around I'll be going with blue because why not, I like that color, and I'll just click on OK. Yeah, I think this blue is okay. So I'll be basically creating this irregular shapes over and over again and just giving them in different colors. So let's go ahead and do the next. Now notice I'm not having this highlighted, so I'm not going to be creating the shape on top. I actually want it to be behind this shape 1, so I'll select the background layer so that everything I create will be on top of that background layer instead of being on top of the shape 1. So I'll be creating something like just click here, create a shape, click and drag, create another shape like so, probably another one like this. Make sure I don't go outside the canvas I've created for myself. Yeah, I think something like this is okay. Also, I'll double click and select let's select a purple color. Purple and pink usually look nice in situations like this. Then I think that is all. Let's create, you know what, let's just create one more just for the fun of it. So something like this, click and drag. Although it's irregular, let's just try to make it a bit nicer rather than just playing around with it. Okay, there's something I want to make mention. In case you see, I have created this shape right here. Now if I try to draw again, it's going to be using this point as my reference point. So whatever shape I'm going to be creating, it's not going to be as uniform as I want it. Now what you have to do is bring this point back down to where we have here. Now to do that, you have to hold down the Alt key. So if you're on Mac, I'm sure you should be the Option key. And once you bring it down here, you can create your shape again, and it's going to take the reference from this point and not from where you had initially. So I think something like this should be okay. I want to make it a bit bigger. Yep, I think like this, and I'll bring it back and create one more like so. Yeah, I think something like this is okay. So let's put all these shapes together, and I'll put them at the center. I think somewhere around here should be fine. Now I can go ahead and increase the size of this. I think something like this should be okay. All right, now I'm loving this. Now I can't just leave these the way they are, so what I want to do is apply what I call the gradient overlay to every single one of them. So let's select the first one, shape 1, go to FX, which is the second icon from here, click on it and go to gradient overlay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this rectangle I have next to the gradient text, and I'll set the first preset, which is foreground to background. What this means is selecting my foreground color and is fading into my background color. So what I'll do is I'll select the first one and I'll select a blue color, most likely like the one I was using previously. Okay, and the second one is also going to be a blue color, but I'll make it a bit darker and click on OK. Now I don't want my gradient to be moving from top to the bottom, so what I'll do is I'll just change the angle of my gradient. So depending on whatever angle I put in there, it should change accordingly. Now I'm not seeing the second one, so what I'll do is I'll just make the first one a bit lighter. So I think something like this should be just fine. Click on OK several times, then I can play around it like so. And this is awesome. You can also just control the opacity. So I think about 50% opacity should be okay, so that I still have my blue color from initially still active. Now for the second one, I'll be doing something quite similar, but this time around I'll be using a different color. So select that, go into gradient overlay, select that rectangle, and I'll change it to a purple color. So I'll sample a purple color from here. And the second one is also going to be, you know what, let me use a pink color because like I said, pink looks nice. And also I can play with the angle, so something like this. Yeah, I think something like this should be okay, and I'll click on OK. Now for the third one, which I have not even given a specific color, I'll just double click and use, let's just go with an orange color. So I think something like this should be just fine. You can also apply a gradient or a layer style. I mean, instead of just selecting and going to FX, you can just double click on the right hand side. This is also going to be there for you. I created this in the shortcuts or how to edit faster in Photoshop series. I have a video on that, so I'll try and leave it linked in the description below in case I don't forget. So I think something like this is also fine, and I can select whatever color I want. I think this preset is looking nice, so orange, yellow, orange, and I'll be using that instead. So once I click on OK, I can go ahead and play around with the intensity or the placement of the orange color. I can also just click on that and play around from here. So now I can have more yellow in here or more yellow aligned to the other side. So I think somewhere around here should be just fine. I can bring this also here like so, and this is looking quite nice. I think I'll also change my angle to something like this should be just fine. All right, then I'll just click on OK for that and click on OK for that. Because I made this color a bit closer to what I have in the background, you can see that the colors are not showing as much as I wanted them to. So like I said, I can always change the background color. So I'll go into background, make sure that color filter is highlighted. I'll just double click and change it to a lighter yellow, or probably just move into the yellow column. So I think something like this should be okay, and I'll click on OK. Now I can go ahead and import my image. So let's open this up. Right click, go to open with Photoshop. Now I'll click and drag over here. I'll bring it over here, then I release. So let's resize this to about this big. Should be okay. Now I'll make sure that this image is on top of this blue blob I have in here. So I'll just click and drag into that group and make sure that it is on top directly, and I can just hold down the Alt key and hover between these two. It should get you this icon you see right here, and just click on it. That's going to create a clipping mask. If you don't want that, you can just right click and go to create clipping mask, and that is also going to apply for you. Now for some reason my effect is also being applied onto the image because the image is also clipped to the blob. So I can just turn this off temporarily. Let's go to right click and go to clear layer style, and you should have your image back like so. So yeah, I think we are pretty much set. There are a couple of things I want to be adding in here. So the first thing is I'll create another group and I'll call this name. So the name, obviously you guys know already. I'll be using the rectangle tool to create a shape like this. It doesn't really matter how the shape is, because I can always use the move tool to resize it. So what I'll do is I'll just click and drag it over here whilst holding down the control and the shift key. So I'll just click and drag to the top like so, and I'll just click on OK or comment OK at the top. Then I'll grab the type tool, the horizontal type tool, T on your keyboard. Then I'll type in something like THEYO. Then I can have like in here like so. I'll highlight everything, make sure that it is left aligned, and I think I can place it in here. You can see because the text is black and the background over here is also black. So I'll highlight the whole text and I'll change it to, I think white should be okay. Now the font I'm using is called Unisans, so I'll be using the bold version instead, and I'll be making this font a bit smaller than what I have here. So let's make this about 10 points, and let's make this about 36 or probably just 30 points. 30 points should be just fine. And once I have that, you can see that we have a lot of spacing between Theo and Labi. So what I'll do is I'll highlight this, go into window and make sure that character is checked. Now over here, I can go ahead and play with the difference between the distance of the first text and the second text. So still highlighted, I can just move the slider to the left or the right, depending on how close I want the text to be. So I think about this close is okay for me. That is about 24 or 25 points, and I'll be using that as well. So once I'm done, I'll just grab the move tool again, and just as I did for the shape, I'll hold down the control key, hold down the shift key, and I'll try to place this like how I have my shape in there. So I think something like this should be okay. Now let me move my shape to the bottom a little bit. I should probably stretch it out make this, I think something like this should be okay. And because of that, let me zoom out and first look at it. I think it's looking okay. I was about changing this text to black, but it appears that even if it's still white, it still looks awesome. So I'll be leaving it as that. I think this is okay. So the next couple of things I'm going to be doing is adding in my social media handles. So for that, I'll just select these social media handles I have in here. Let me just merge them up. You can see because their colors are white and they are on a transparent background, so it's hard for you to see. So what I'll do is, with that layer still selected, I'll go into FX and I'll click on color overlay. What this means is it's going to apply a color on top of the initial color I have in here. Now you can see that it is set to white, so what I can do is I can change it to black, and that should just affect them. So I'll just click and drag and drop them here. I should probably align this. So let's align using Ctrl R to bring up the rulers, and I'll bring this over to the center. This is my center. Then I'll be able to align this perfectly. So I think somewhere should be somewhere around here should be our center. Okay, now I can add in the social media handle like @TheoLabi and make the text color also black. Probably make it center align, and I think this is looking quite awesome. Obviously this, I'm not going to be making this so huge, so let's just reduce the size to, I think something like this should be just fine. So either way, if you have any other information like your logo, let me just call this profile, save this up. If you have any other thing like your logo, or I don't know what you'll be using this for, but if you have anything like that, you can also add it in here. So sorry, I'm a bit confused. Let me just group these two. So select them and group them and call them something, anything at all. So I'm calling my social media handles, and I'm going to isolate this from the name. So I'll select the name and the image, and I can place it somewhere around here should be just fine. So in case you have a logo, which I have one, so I'm just going to be importing that pictures. So I'll just import that into Photoshop like so, and just resize it to about this big. I have no idea where to place this, so I think putting it on the left should look neat. About this big should just be okay. So yeah, basically that is it. But before I leave you guys to go, there's one more thing I want to do. And with these two shapes, I actually want to create a duplicate. So Ctrl J, then I'll select the bottom two ones, and I'll just play around with their size. So click on any of these edges, or you can use Ctrl T to bring up the transform tools. And once you do that, just right click and go to flip horizontal. So what this will do is just going to flip it in a different position for you. Then you can go ahead and play with it. You can also just flip it vertically and just play around how it all looks. So basically this is it. Once I'm done too, I'll also reduce the opacity to about 50. So basically that is it. I'm going to make just some few adjustments to this, and I'll have it linked in the description below if you guys are interested in downloading this as well. As always, the PSD template is going to be linked below, so be sure to check it out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Final Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.